This is a desktop, revolving desktop. I've got the top already cut and sanded and planed and rounded edges, ready for stain. I've already stained the bottom underneath it, and on the top part, first thing I use is this pre-stain by Minwax. Brings out the grain, all the knots and stuff, makes it look better. If you don't use the pre-stain, the stain will blotch up a lot in different places. So I'm fixing to use the this is Espresso Minwax stain. Fixing to stain the top of this thing. This gets messy, so I've got these nasty looking gloves I use. Sometimes I'll use a cloth to stain. Sometimes I'll use just a brush. Sometimes it's easier for me to use the brush. It seems like to me that the cloth sometimes uses up more stain than I'd like to. And plus, I got more control if I'm using a brush. To run down the sides like this right here. Get plenty of stain on there. While it's setting for a second, I'll go ahead and do one panel of the top. I'll just go ahead and do this first little panel here. Sometimes when you these are 3 pieces of 2x6s, 2x8s that are joined together, and I have to cut them to size, and then I join them after I plane them all to get them nice and everything level across with the planer. I use the joiner to joint the gaps together, and I join those with pocket hole screws and glue. So sometimes when I'm sometimes when I'm pressuring them together with the clamp to joint the sides, joint the joints together, the pieces together, glue will squeeze out and squeeze through onto the wood surface. So what I have to do is I have to go back with my 60 grit sandpaper and my Orbit sander, and I'll sand the whole top over again. Then I'll go over it again with the 120 to give that smooth look. So the reason why I sand it again is because any squeeze out glue that comes through these cracks here, if you stain over top of that, it's gonna bleed through, and it's gonna be like there's gonna be blotches of white or yellowish looking glue, and the stain's not gonna cover it all. So I go back over with the 60 grit and it knocks all that stain off. I mean, all the glue that squeeze out. And then I go back over with the 120 grit again to sand it back over to make it smooth again. So just as a precautionary thing to make sure I've got all the glue off. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my rag and I'm gonna go down this side that I've already stained and let it set for a second while I did one of the panels and wipe the excessive stain off. Then of course I'll go over the top with the rag also and wipe off the excessive stain there. It comes out pretty good. So now I go ahead and do the sides and around the sides, and then the top panels, and then I'll be through with it. I'll be ready to put the polyurethane on it after it sets for 24 hours to make sure it's good and dry. But all right, got it completely stained now and wiped down with the rag. That's what it looks like once it's stained. The top and the sides, bottom and the sides again, ends. Next thing I do is this will dry for 24 hours or sometime tomorrow afternoon at least, and I'll come back out and I'll put about 4 coats of polyurethane on it, and in between each coat I will sand with a 120 grit sandpaper with the rags. That's what it looks like after I'm done wiping off the excessive stain off. These things, people say they can catch fire if they're left in certain humidity in your shop or something. So I have a bucket of water over here in the corner that I drop these in so the water can soak them up. Then I dispose of them. If they're soaked up with water, this is a lot safer than just keeping them laying around dry in case they do catch on fire. I've heard they'll catch on fire sometimes, maybe explode. So I'll drop these in a bucket of water when I'm done with them and dispose of them later. But in the meantime, this is ready to go on the top, and then it'll be several coats of the polyurethane, and it'll be finished.